I'm off a little bit today, but welcome to the Mama Genius Hub. We got another wonderful, actually two speakers coming up for you right now, a married couple, Meredith and Craig, who are going to give us a cheat code on how to have a thriving marriage, how we bring relationships together. Aren't we all looking for that a little bit in our lives of how do we bring those connections? Because that's what life is all about, the connections we have and the passion that we feel inside of us. So they're going to help us bring that together. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to Mama Genius Hub podcast, where we support moms with big dreams from entrepreneurship to personal aspirations. I'm your host, Michelle DeKaiser, and I'm here to help you unlock your potential in all areas of life. Join us as we explore strategies for thriving in motherhood while pursuing the dreams, the key to actually unlocking your genius. Subscribe now and embark on a journey to realize your fullest potential. Hey everyone, Meredith and Craig left their 9-to-5 corporate grind to become full-time entrepreneurs in order to be intentional about building a life that they loved, instead of just one they grew up believing they were destined for. Their marriage is the foundation for everything that builds in their lives, and they believe a thriving marriage is a cheat code for leveling up every other area of your life, your parenting, your business, anything. We're going to go dive into that cheat code today. They help others live their dream life, and that starts with having a rock solid foundation, a relationship where you don't have to spend valuable time and energy constantly repairing it. They love helping others get that part of life exactly where they've always wanted to, and so they can crush the rest of their lives. Let's bring Meredith and Craig up to the stage. Hi, you two. It's so awesome to have you. My first couple, my first pair on here. I'm so excited to have both of you on here.
Hey, Michelle, we're super excited to be here with you.
Yeah, super pumped. This is going to be good.
Yeah, I'm just like, let's dive right in. So, I mean, everyone knows how I started. Like, what is your why behind how you guys came to this, to like build this cheat code, this foundation for other couples? I mean, it must start with something going on between the two of you or something, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so like for us, we both come from families of divorce. And so we found it was really difficult at different parts of our lives going through that process. Like it was painful. And I've been divorced in a past life as well. And so when we got together, we were very intentional about learning. And while I was getting the divorce, she was single for like
very single.
Like 10 years. For a long time. And so when we got together, we were very intentional about learning the lessons that our parents left us, that we learned on our journey, and making sure that we were going to build something different.
Mm-hmm. And we did. And so we got together and we got married, and we were doing all of that while we were living that corporate life. Like you mentioned at the very beginning, we ended up leaving that corporate life and embarking in entrepreneurship and literally not having a clue what we were doing. And so we started a company before this one that we absolutely hated. We were miserable. It was like, oh my God, what are we doing? Yeah. And we were starting to feel that showing up in our relationship, which had historically been a huge strength for us, like the bedrock upon which we built our whole lives to this point. And we were starting to feel cracks in that foundation. And that's when we said, no, we had a really honest conversation. We discovered we were both equally miserable. We shelved that business and we spent some time really digging into our relationship, digging into research, doing some personal growth and development. And that's how we ended up strengthening the relationship to the degree that it is today, and actually getting into relationship coaching through that whole process.
Wow, is all I have to say. But I actually do have a question for y'all. So you mentioned the word honest conversation. So I'm like, yes. Out here, like, how do you start those honest conversations?
It's a great question.
Yeah, it's challenging, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the word challenging is a key component of that, because there's this thing called the challenge flag. We use this thing called the challenge flag. Mm-hmm. And it's just like NFL football. If anyone is an NFL football fan, we know that the coach has this little flag or a flag on their belt that if there's a play on the field that is not going well, they want to challenge it, have a review, a second look at it. You just throw that challenge flag. So we've adopted that in our relationship, where if there's something that we want to look at again, like we need to have a conversation, something isn't going well for one of us, we just throw the challenge flag. And it's just a little game. It makes it a little easier to approach a difficult conversation when there's literally a challenge flag. It's a little goofy little thing, lightens the mood, makes it a little easier to approach a difficult subject. And then it's really just about being open, honest, and transparent. And we have a framework for that.
Yeah, sometimes we'll just say, hold on, I'm throwing the challenge flag, or I need to throw the sometimes I'll take a dish towel and literally throw it on the floor and be like, all right, challenge flag.
Not in anger. Not in anger.
Just like, oh, let's throw that for fun.
Yeah.
So because it's really what we've decided that means is that we're taking a timeout, we're taking a step back so we can gain a little perspective and so we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
And so I think one thing that helps when you're going into these more difficult conversations where you know it's going to feel a little uncomfortable is one, having it light off the hop, which is why the challenge flag kind of helps, because you throw a towel on the ground. It's like, okay, challenge flag. Okay. So we're already in the mindset that it's a little bit lighter, but we know we're going to be having a conversation where we need to be honest with each other. So the expectation is that as soon as the laundry hits the floor, we know what's going on. And then I think the second thing that helps is doing it at a time when you can both be fully present. I think a lot of times when we go into these difficult conversations, we're starting the conversation because we've gotten to a point where we just have to have the conversation, right? We're so frustrated, we're so at our wits' end that we just, the point of discomfort in what you're feeling has overcome the discomfort of that potential conversation. So I'm just going to start talking. And sometimes the other person isn't quite there yet. They're finishing an email, or they've got something they got to get finished up before they can fully engage in that conversation. And so it's also being a little bit aware of, I'm throwing the challenge flag either at the right time when we can both be fully engaged in the conversation, or I'm throwing the challenge flag so that tonight after supper, when we're both, we can sit down and have this conversation together, and then we can prepare for it. Because I think sometimes the timing isn't great, and that exacerbates the frustration of the person who wants to have that conversation, that you don't even want to have this conversation. You're not paying attention to me. And we got to give the other person a minute to catch up to where we are.
So would you recommend, like, when you say it, like what the conversation is about, that we're going to continue later, or you just throw the challenge flag, or what are some, like, because I mean, like, setting up the timing, like, obviously, is it a mutually agreed upon time that you're going to go into this, or what are some suggestions you have for us?
Great tactical questions. And so the challenge flag can either be in the moment, if it works for both of you. Challenge flag, can we have this conversation now? Or do you want to have this conversation, this evening? For most people, kids are in bed, work is done, like a time when you can both be fully present. And so I think it's just as simple as that question. Can we have this conversation now? Or would you rather have it when we put the kids to bed after supper tonight?
I think one of the things that creates even more distance is when we're not willing to engage or even address the issue that's been brought forward. Like, oh no, I'm not talking about that. That's going to create even more distance. So it's not about not ever talking about it. It's just, now's not the right time, but maybe at 7:00 tonight, when I'm done my work and we've got the kids to bed or whatever it is, that's when we can do it. So it's just agreeing on a time in the next, let's not put it off too long, because the longer it goes, the worse it gets. So like in the not too distant future, when can we get together and have this conversation?
And sometimes that also, if it's not that evening because someone's working or someone's got a deadline, or, there's life happens and we have to work around that. It might mean setting the alarm a little bit earlier tomorrow, getting up and having your coffee together and having this conversation when you're both fresh. And so it's about finding that right time. And to your point, trying to do it within about a 24-hour period of time. And the other key piece to that is when you're kicking that conversation off, is using the first person, like I statements, like, this is how this is impacting me. This is how I feel about this. This is, specifically what I want to address and what I want to get to the outcome to be, like being really, really specific and speaking from your own perspective. Because the first thing that sometimes happens that drives your partner, your spouse, the other person in the relationship further away is the generalities, the big hyperbole of, you never do this, I always do. Like, the big generalities are what tends to elevate the emotion, as opposed to taking the emotion out of it and speaking in that really first person, that this happened, or this is what's going on, and this is how it's impacting me, and this is what I was hoping we could talk about, and how we might be able to bring this to resolution. like getting clear on what you want the outcome to be from your perspective, using I statements and being super specific and avoiding those generalities like the plague. And that kind of helps keep the conversation on, a steady emotional level, as opposed to each of you ratcheting it up because I always do this, but you never do this. And then the next person talks and the next person talks. And so keeping it specific and speaking from your own perspective only is really helpful.
I love that so much. I know you guys have a cheat code framework, and we'll get to that when we come back in just a moment. Attention mompreneurs. Do you feel like you're constantly juggling the responsibilities without a moment to yourself? It's time to pause and reflect with our Mama Genius quiz. Tailored for busy mamas like you, this quiz will help you identify what's blocking your path and inspire you to harness your unique strengths, transform how you manage life and business, find your rhythm, and ignite your joy. Visit mamageniushub.com today to discover your Mama Genius. Again, that's mamageniushub.com. And we're back. So I really, really want to dive into your cheat code because I know you have your framework and how things works. You were frozen for a second. You're back. Yay. And so I'll just kind of throw it over to you. I don't really know how the framework works or what. So I want to, however you want to take that question to guide the audience, I throw it to you too.
Sure. And so, like you mentioned, we believe that strong relationship is literally the cheat code for life. So you can level up any other area of your life, like your health and your vitality, your business, your career, your parenting, like literally every other area of your life can excel once you dial in the relationship. Because when you're spending all that excess time and energy trying to repair the relationship over here, you don't have that energy available for your parenting, for your children, for your business, for your health, for all the other things that are important to you. And once you free up that energy, you also then have the support from the other person. So then you've got sort of a synergistic approach to energy that helps really push you. The sky's the limit. Like you can take every other area of your life exactly wherever you want it to go once you've got that first part dialed in. And so
the way that we do that is we've got a framework, and it's based on 4 pillars. And the first pillar is making sure that we take care of the commitment to yourself, because the one relationship you have in this life from start to finish is the one with yourself. And so we need to make sure that relationship is humming along exactly as we need it to in order to expand and make sure all the other areas are doing as well or better. So it's really about taking care of yourself. So that's the first commitment, is the commitment to yourself. Then the second one is the commitment, obviously, to the relationship, because you're in this together. You're a team. There's 2 people. So it's focusing on the communication, the intimacy, rebuilding trust, making sure that connection is there. And then the third pillar is
commitment to fun, which I think is the most underrated of all of them, because as life gets busy, life does get busy. There's no one who exists on this planet who is not busy with their life. And when we get busy, the first thing that goes is fun. We don't have time for fun once we're in the throes of living life. But if you think about it, when you're having fun with someone, the communication feels easy, the connection feels strong, the trust is there. Like all of the other critical pieces of a strong relationship work when there's fun. Plus, fun makes you want to do stuff. Like if things aren't fun, you don't want to do it. So if it's not fun, you're not going to want to do it. So you can keep the fun in it. The rest of it becomes easy. Fun is literally the foundation for the rest of the relationship stuff. And we lose that first all the time. And then go ahead.
Before I get to the 4th one, I'm laughing at that one because I was actually just in a speakers, what we call women's circle, with some of the speakers from the hub. And I admitted I needed more fun in my life. And it was funny just because you said that. It's so true, because when you're out there just doing those things and like you're just like you feel that overwhelm and that pressure builds up more when you don't have a way to have some fun and release it. And so having fun with the kids, having fun with your spouse, those types of things. And one of the speakers she was like, I really believe that we can send energy to the people. And she's like, I'm going to put a timer and I'm going to send you some thoughts to have some fun. And it was such a beautiful moment of connection and stuff, but it was just that idea of us like just really getting back into that inner child and really releasing, and fun is that key. And so I just had to throw that out there because I truly was like, yes.
We're very aligned right now.
Yeah.
And you're so not alone in that. Like so many clients we've had come, and when we get to this point in the framework, they're like, yeah, but I don't know how to have, what do you guys do for fun? I don't know what's fun. I don't even know what I don't know what's fun for me anymore. I haven't had fun in so long, I've forgotten how. Like that is not uncommon.
And it's all about like go out and have fun and find those things that fill you up, like those, going to a movie or whatever it is. But it's also about finding fun in the mundane, like the day-to-day tasks that we do every day. Find the fun and the adventure in those things, because really that's what most of life is building a business, raising a family, doing the chores that are required around all those things, but you can still have fun while you do those things. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I love that. I totally agree with that. And that was what we were talking about, is like even how we make content together. Now we're going to be doing it as a group community. And we're just like, that is finding a way to have fun in it, because we're doing it together. You're not like doing it alone anymore. So it's like, I love that concept, how you just said that, like find how to have fun in those things. And like, we were just laughing and laughing and crying at the same time, just releasing. But I think that's what it's really all about. But I'm gonna let you guys get to number 4.
Number 4 is the commitment to the future. So many people are going through life on default, just the way we were, without really realizing exactly where they want to go. And if you don't know where you want to go, you're actually never going to get there. And that's the reason our first business failed so miserably and so quickly, is we started a business to replace our corporate income with having done zero work on what we wanted our life to actually be like. And no surprise, the business we built did not exactly in any way, shape, or form align with what we wanted our life to be like. And so we finally took a step back and did that work to find our North Star. Like what's his dream life? What's my dream life? And what's our combined, like our shared common vision for the future? And once you have that shared common vision, that becomes the North Star of your life. And every action or decision either takes you closer or takes you further away from that North Star. And the beauty of this North Star is it provides a little bit more perspective. Like you've got your eyes on a bigger prize here together. So some of the little daily frustrations that used to, kind of make mountains out of molehills sometimes when life gets the way life does, those tend to fall away more easily. So you're not arguing over the little things as much when you can see the bigger picture. And plus it puts you back on the same team, like rowing in the same direction, like aiming for the same goal. And when you can feel like you're a team again, the fun comes easier, the trust comes easier. It all comes easier when you have that perspective. And then the one thing that wraps all those 4 commitments in place is the mindset you have going into it. And we grew up believing, as I'm sure a lot of people did, that a good marriage is 50-50. And nothing could be further from the truth, because a 50-50 marriage creates a lot of ambiguity, a lot of gray area. Is that my 50% or is that job your 50%? And I apologized first last time, so it's your job to apologize first this time.
A 50-50 marriage really does encourage scorekeeping, which is toxic for a relationship. You don't want that, right? So it's all about having a 100% mindset with your marriage. So if you have a 100% mindset and your spouse has a 100% mindset, then you have a 200% marriage.
Meaning you're each taking 100% responsibility. That's the 100% mindset, is you are 100% responsible for your marriage, and your spouse is also 100% responsible for your marriage. So something needs to get done. If you're 100% responsible, you will do it. And then if something's not working, you'll take responsibility for what's not working and have that conversation. And when you're both taking that 100% responsibility and coming into those conversations, no one feels attacked, because it's not like you didn't do your job, I'm doing all the work. You're both taking accountability for where things are. So there's no defensiveness and no scorekeeping, to Craig's point.
I love that so much, because you just don't really necessarily think about it, because you've always heard the term 50-50, like it's got to be even. And that's actually what I've also said about the idea of a balance, how we use the word balance. I feel like it's the same concept, because it's so much pressure when you think about a scale, and it has to be equal. Yeah. So I kind of went with the idea of like, let's find a rhythm in our life as well, because and kind of goes with the marriage as well, as like find the rhythm that works for you, not just like but it's true when you put the numbers on it, or that it's like the pressure and the scorekeeping, and then you come to the table defensive.
Yeah, exactly.
I love how you like just strip that away right then and there. Like as soon as you say like you're 100% responsible for all these parts, and it's like, how do we come to the table to work on this together, rather than, oh, that was your fault.
Correct.
And you
Exactly.
start pointing the finger at the person.
Yeah.
So I do have to circle back for one, because I do have one question on the North Star.
Yep.
Yeah.
I from your takes, what are some ways that couples can come together? Because I mean, that might feel like in a frame with a busy married couple with kids and stuff, like, how do we even like come to have these conversations about dreaming big, or what kind of dreams should we even like call our North Star? Like, how can we define that a little bit for these busy moms out there to give them some guidelines to where to start?
It's a great question. And the way we've done it is we have 5 categories to help you get real tactical on what should be in your dream to answer your question. And the first one is where you want to live, like the house, the structure, but also what's around you, like what state, what country, like, where do you want to live? And the second one is, what do you want your like your work life to be like, your business, professional, parenting, where you spend your time day to day working, what do you want that to be like? The third one is your relationships, and not just your marriage, but all the important relationships in your life. What do you want those relationships to be like, to feel like? The fourth element is, what do you want your health and vitality to feel like? Like, as you get older, what do you want your health to be? How do you want to feel? And then the fifth one is your free time. What do you want to be doing in your dream life? Like, what's going to fill your day all the way in your dream life?
And it's really just about answering those questions. And we would encourage you to do that individually at first.
Mm-hmm.
Just dream, just sit with it, and just think about those 5 questions, and think about what would, in a perfect world, what would those different elements of my life look like?
Mm-hmm.
And just journal it, just write it down, and then have your spouse do the same thing. And then once both of you have done that, just come together and just have a conversation, again, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock when the kids are in bed and you've got some time.
Or early in the morning.
Over coffee, whatever works for you. Just find a little bit of time and say, hey, let's have our dream life connection, and then just chat about what are the different elements, and see where the similarities are and see where the differences are, and see if you can find a common ground on where you can build your combined shared common vision, your combined dream life, and have that be your North Star. And then once you have this vision of your life, a perfect day in the life of Craig and Meredith, whatever that day looks like, start picking away at those different elements. Like, what are some of the things that we can start doing today to make that dream our reality? And so maybe one of them is, we really want to have our own business someday, but you're both in corporate jobs or whatever it is. Well, maybe you can start a side hustle. What does that look like? Well, maybe we just have to register a business or whatever. And so just take some element of it and just start working on the steps to start making that a reality. And once you start working on something together, now you're a team, a true team. You've got this common bond, this common goal that you're now achieving together. And like to her point earlier, all the other little things that used to maybe come up for you, they're not as important. You've got a North Star now. You're building something. And so that's what it is all about.
Oh, I love that so much. And I just have to say before you talk, Meredith, that those of you that are listening to the audio or stuff, you should just have seen the way Meredith was looking at Craig right now. And you can see that bond right there. And so I'll let you take over though, Meredith.
I was just going to say thank you for that. One tip when you're doing your dreaming, like, be expansive with yourself. Like, take the time to really daydream about it without constraints.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
It's not about what things cost. It's not about what's realistic. It's like, what does your heart truly, in a perfect world with no constraints at all, like, what would that look like? And get really super duper specific about it. So like, when we did the exercise, it was like, you could feel the breeze off the ocean for the dream house, because we live on an island. So we want to build a dream house on the ocean. And so yeah, when I'm describing it, I'm talking about the breeze and the smell of the salt water, like getting really specific in those elements.
I love that so much. I'm sorry that we're running out of time, but we're going to go to our final commercial break and we'll come back for our final question.
Do you ever feel like your own dreams are fading on you as you focus and keep everything together for your family, or been buried under laundry and school runs and endless to-do lists? They're so deep, you don't even know what they are anymore. The Mama Genius Hub is here to help you uncover that part of you again. Maybe you felt that pull to start a passion project, return to a hobby you once loved, or pursue a career that lights you up. but you're so caught in everyone else's needs that you keep slipping through the cracks. In just 15 minutes a day, our mini courses will help you reconnect with those dreams while finding a new rhythm in motherhood's beautiful, messy life. And best of all, you'll be doing it with a community of moms who truly understand the juggle and the joy. The Mama Genius Hub is a community who've been there and are here to support and inspire each other every step of the way. It's time to rediscover your spark, live in your genius, and inspire your kids by showing them how to follow their own passions. Join the Mama Genius Hub today and start creating space for you again without guilt for doing it solo.
Come to www.connectingmamas.com for more details.
And we're back. And so we want to jump into, what is a common misconception about motherhood that you think holds many moms back from truly stepping into their genius?
What we've seen a lot of, what I see with our clients, with our friends and family, is the kids become the number one priority. And understandably so. I mean, the kids are fully reliant, especially as they're really young, fully reliant on you for survival. However, like Craig talked about in terms of the commitment to yourself being the first element of having a really strong marriage and a really strong relationship everywhere, you can only give and accept love to the degree that you love yourself. And so trying to give from an empty cup, you can't get that back. And you are the role model. You're teaching your children how to prioritize care and love themselves. And so if you're always trying to do for everyone, but never filling yourself, your relationships are all going to suffer, including with your kids, your motherhood relationships. And so I think it's so common to shift all priority to the kids. And there's a time and a place where there's a lot that is required there for sure, but there's still an element of you that needs to feel the love from you.
Oh, do you want to add anything, Craig? Or
Obviously I 100% agree with everything Meredith just said. And I would also add that, the kids, understandably, the kids are a major priority because, to her point, they need you for survival and safety and all of that. But I'll also say that your relationship lasts once the kids move on and they move out and they go on to their own lives, you're left with a relationship with the other person, that's your spouse. And so if you don't tend to that garden, if you don't water and get it sunlight, then that you're going to be left with a relationship that is going to be damaged. So I know that time is always such a scarce resource sometimes when you're a busy mom worrying about bake sales and sports activities and all the different things. But I would invite you all to make sure that you're putting some level of effort and water and sunlight on that relationship that's going to be there far beyond when the kids move out and get on with their lives.
I love that so much. And usually as the shift mindset, I'm going to add that part in from what you guys have already said, is almost just even looking at that North Star, maybe with your spouse, and really creating that vision that you want with them, that sometimes we forget about it in the busyness of every day. And so taking that time to have something to work towards together would be a great place to start, and shifting that mindset of tending to that garden. So on that note, how can people get a hold of you two?
We are very active on Instagram. That's where we share all of our sort of tools and strategies. And so things that are easily implementable, we can find all of that on Instagram. We also do short podcasts, like 10 to 20 minutes, talking about different relationship strategies, where we share examples from our life and our clients' lives. And so the Road of Life podcast is also a great spot to go for that.
And we're Meredith and Craig on Instagram.
Right.
And I believe you have a free gift for everyone.
Yes, we do. We've got a guide that's really popular. It's called just our conflict resolution guide. And we didn't really get into it too much on this episode, but we believe that disagreements are a green light in relationships. If you don't disagree, that's a red flag. If you do, every relationship's going to have disagreements, and there's lots of reasons for that. But it's important that you're able to disagree without it spiraling and cascading into a big giant fight. And so we've got a guide for conflict resolution, that when you do have a disagreement, how do you bottom that out and fully resolve it so that A, you never disagree about it again, and B, you can actually get closer together, more connected through that process, and not have it escalate into a big giant argument. So we're going to share that.
I love that so much. I'm going to put you guys backstage for a minute to go away with my long pages of notes that are like all over the place, but we're going to do our best with our takeaways today. So what an amazing episode. We got 5 takeaways I'm going to put together for you right now. And so first of all, let's just be intentional with the things we want to do. And so I love how they start off with telling us about the challenge flag and being able to throw that down and really taking that time out when we need it. But the key that they told us was also to make sure that you pick the time that works when the challenge flag is around, whether it is right then or there, or you pick a time for later on, which then leads us into number 2, which is strong relationships are the cheat code for life. So they are the basis to everything. If you have that strong relationship, then the business and the family, everything else becomes easier when you can depend and support each other. So that is our cheat code. And then they gave us number 3 takeaway is 4 pillars to work with, is that we have the commitment to yourself first, commitment to the relationship, really building it on that trust and everything. And then commitment to fun. We almost forgot about that because I was like, I couldn't read my writing. I'm like, oh yeah, it's all about the fun, which is something I even mentioned that I need to bring back, and remembering the fun and easiness that comes with that. And then the commitment to the future. And so you're not defaulting on not knowing where you're going or the things that you have envisioned to us, which then leads us to takeaway number 4, which is the mindset. That 100% mindset, which leads to 200%. Instead of that 50-50 that we've really seen throughout society and things like that of you versus me, and this is your job and that's my part and this is my part and your part. How about we come to this with a full 100% that leads to 200% and all of us coming together with full accountability for everything. But then that leads us back to takeaway number 5, when I circled back to commitment for the future and really looking at what is that North Star. They gave us a great structure to really start getting into that North Star, which is the 5 questions. Where do you want to live? Really getting into the sea breeze, everything about that. What is your work life like? Number 2. Number 3, what kind of relationships, including yours and all the close ones around, do you want to have? Number 4 is the health and vitality feeling that you want. And number 5, what do you want to be doing in your free time and the fun things that you want to be doing? And we're going to bring them back for their final takeaway. Welcome back.
Thank you. That was a great summary.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. What would be your final takeaway then to add on to that as well?
I would say make sure that you water the garden. And like to my point earlier, I know that life gets busy and the kids are there and they're a major priority, obviously. But when they're gone out of the house, you don't want to be left with a relationship that doesn't work for you anymore. And so we see it so often that kids have left, empty nesters, kids have left the house and they come to us and they're like, I don't even know this person anymore. We've not put in any level of maintenance on this relationship over the last 10, 20 years. And I don't know how to engage in this anymore. And they eventually want to leave the relationship and they're unhappy. And so tend to the garden, make sure there's water and sunlight for that garden.
And I would say one thing every day that fills you up.
Yes.
Like it doesn't have to be long. It's not about the amount of time you put into it. It's just about the amount of enjoyment or the amount of peace you get from that thing. And so if it's putting on one song that you like and dancing to it in the bathroom by yourself for 3 minutes, it doesn't matter what the thing is. It's just something that fills you up.
And one last thing, just as a little bonus, is like there is an epidemic of unworthiness in this world. And I think we all we feel this emptiness inside us sometimes of like the world, like we're not good enough for this world and the things that we want. And I would just say that you are worthy. There's just some things that we need to do to unlearn some of the things that we were taught as we grew up. And you are worthy of the dreams you want. You are worthy of that marriage. You are worthy of that dream life that you're going to dream of and think of with your spouse. You're worthy of all of that. So.
Well, I just want to thank both of you so much for coming on today. And I think I just want to end with let's have some more fun in our lives. And I think you guys are inspiring us to do so. And so thank you all. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us in today's episode of the Mama Genius Hub podcast. If you found value in our conversation, please share this episode with another mama who might benefit. Sharing helps us build a supportive community and reach out to more mamas like you. After all, it's more fun when we do motherhood together. Until next time, stay motivated and continue to pursue your dreams as you shine in your genius.